Nigeria, by extension, Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
Today, we need to have an honest conversation. Now, they might just be uncomfortable, but very necessary. Because in a country where over 60% of the population lives in multi-dimensional poverty, raising children without a clear intentional plan is no longer sustainable. Now, love alone cannot shield them from the harsh realities of Nigeria's economic challenge. The soaring food inflation, unreliable education or educational system, if you like to say, limited access to healthcare, and high unemployment rate. This is not about scaring anyone, scaring you really, but it's about making informed strategic decision, because it's about just emotional commitment. You know, let's just have a child. It doesn't work anymore. It's another episode on your favorite primetime show. My name is Mercy Ebokbo. Today we will be discussing economic boss. Do children deserve more than just survival? Our guest is Dr. Dinah Mary T. Insan, a holistic educator and a media practitioner. Well, remember that Ways is all about you. You are the why in the Ways. So join the conversation every day and today and add your voice. All you need to do is just head over to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV, hit the subscribe button, like, share, and invite your friends and family to join the show now. Now, when the phone lines are open, I really want to hear your thoughts on this particular topic and conversation. As always, I'd like you to ponder on my quote for today. Help us show children around the world that we can make a difference together. That's the quote for today. Help us show children around the world that we can make a difference together. We will delve into this much later, but first off, I'll take a break, and when I return, I'll tell you what caught my attention in the news for today. Please stay with me.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
What are you saying? Hashtag Ways. And thank you so much for tuning in. Now, this is the time where I tell you about what caught my interest in the news. So first off, the West African examination, candidate who sat for examination in the dark without power supply. If you look at Twitter or X, if you like to call it, is one of it's one conversation that's making the rounds, and that's happened like yesterday up until this moment. Because a very tragic and shocking incident occurred during the 2025 West African examination. That's why I like to call it in Nigeria. And that was yesterday because students were writing their English language. And I know how this can be very important late at night. It was around 9:42 in complete darkness. No, so that's the video. You can look at it. Just in case you haven't seen that, they had no electricity, no power supply. Some of them resorted to using lanterns, flashlights, candles. Because I don't even remember last time I saw a candle. I'm being very honest, but it's really unfortunate. And then again, this is not the first time this is actually happening, because prior to this time, we also had some students who wrote their JAM examination in the dark. What is going on? There was a child that was missing, but it was a good thing that social media came on board. She was found. But there's so much, questions that's begging for answers to the Minister of Education, to, those who are coordinating the affairs or managing the affairs in the West African Examination Council. It's very critical. I mean, how do you even expect? Because at the end of the day, there's going to be a result, but how do you expect? It was also reported that there was no response, however. People did not know at some point, people didn't even know what happened. So the students didn't even know what happened or what led to the fact that they were writing exams at that time, up until when there was an outburst on social media. And that's when we started having the reports, because now there's a report that there was some technical, I'm not sure whether it was technical, whatever reason that was given. But then again, the House of Representatives has given the WIAC 24 hours ultimatum to appear before, the committee and explain itself as regards the ongoing examination. And that's because a lot of Nigerians have also expressed themselves on Twitter. Now, still with the examination, and it is also within the period where children are celebrating the Children's Day. So you can imagine the irony. And I also listened to the Minister for Women Affairs, who also said that it was such an exciting time to be a child. Really, it's really, 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 really an exciting time to be a child, where people have to go to write their JAM exam at 6:30 a.m. Why? Why? No. Tell me why. And then again, people have to write the examination in darkness. This is not just limited to one state. It's a national issue across different states in Nigeria. Lagos, Taraba, Kaduna, Kano, it is what it is. There was no explanation whatsoever until after the examination. There's several reasons and blame and what have you. But then again, who should be held accountable for all of this mishap? Another one that caught my attention today in the news is that lots of students who were writing the ongoing, so if you don't already know, there's the West African examination is actually going on. Now, students who were writing examination in a secondary school in Taraba State narrowly escaped death yesterday evening. So, yes. And their classroom collapsed during the heavy rain and windstorm. In Lagos, we're not even experiencing so much of the rain, so you have a little bit of it trickling down here and there and what have you. So it's different. So I know that in other parts of the country, they're experiencing the downpour. Teachers and coppers and exam supervisors also were trapped but rescued by residents, and several students were injured, with some suffering from broken limbs. I really don't know. It's not exciting. It's not so much for us to go on the headlines. It's not so much for us to go and make proclamations. I have said this. I have seen it across different strata, across different parts of the country, when you go to these schools, when you go to these local governments and villages, you find out that there's nothing to write home about. Let's be realistic. And then I know that there's a certain category or this group of persons who say, oh, Nigeria's not that terrible. We just need to stop making so much buzz about what's going on the internet. There are other countries that are experiencing bad. I don't think that the Nigerian people are asking for so much. Really, it's very embarrassing. And there's really nothing to say. But then again, you still have because someone has to answer for all of this instead of solving the problem. And said that they have such as removing fuel subsidies and allowing high inflation while corrupt officials continue to benefit. Shore says that the government is failing to protect citizens and enriching a few at the expense of millions. Now, in his statement, which has sparked widespread online debate, if you follow him on social media, Facebook, Twitter, what have you, he said that with many Nigerians, a lot of Nigerians really have agreed to the fact that there's insecurity and poverty has worsened. And the question would be, are Nigerians better off 2 years since the APC took over from Buhari? It's more like a continuation. But that's a conversation for another time. We'll go on a short break, and when we return, we'll just delve into the main conversation for today. Please stay with us.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light from my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
You're watching #Ways. What are you saying? Now, in today's Nigeria, many people believe that raising children without a solid plan is risky. They also say that love is not enough. I mean, so when you say that I'm in love, we're in love, and whatever let's have a baby, that's not enough. Joining us to shed more light on this is Dr. Dinah Mary T. Insan, who is a holistic educator and a media practitioner. Dinah Mary, thank you so much for being part of the conversation. I do appreciate you.
Thank you, Mercy Ebekbo. It's good to be here. I appreciate you as well.
All right, great. So let's delve into, this talk. Now, I know that if I'm not mistaken, just a few days ago, 27th of May was Children's Day celebration. And there was a lot of reaction. I saw those who have the heart for children putting up posts. Now, this conversation is born out of a post that a certain Oku on Twitter made. But I will just go straight to it. If children deserve more than just surviving, why do some Nigerians still believe that just get pikin, God will provide?
There's a sense of pride. There's a sense of... Well, you see, the most that people can do is encourage you, nudge you, push you, be curious based on their level of information or awareness as to how and when you're going to have children, or the expectations of you, whether you have sons or daughters, and all of that, those things that pertain to children. You know what I mean? But they are not thinking beyond just the mingling of body fluids to have kids. It's a whole, it's a broad conversation. It's a broad approach. There's much more to it than the social pressure, the cultural pressure of thinking that people are old, everybody must have a child, thinking that the fulfillment of a man or a woman's life is how many children they have, or if at all they have children. So these are conversations that we should have, as much as I don't speak for everybody, but I think that these are the facts of the matter, that people just feel like it is what it should be, that, everybody should have a child,
But I'd like to ask you that the whole thoughts or belief system, whatever it is that we like to classify it, just get Pekin, God would take care of it. What do you think is fueling this?
What do I think is fueling this? Because I think, you see, having children is not bad at all. Having children is a fantastic thing. It's a blessing, and everybody desires that they should have children, but not everybody, so to speak. But you see that we have progressed in society. Life changes, things happen. We adjust ourselves as we make progress. And you see that people's lives are shaped either by the circumstances, the realities. There are certain people who, due to congenital disorders, will not have children. There are certain people, due to circumstances, will not have children. So when we speak of what is fueling this push, what is fueling this desire, is a natural phenomenon. It's something that is ordained either divinely, and by way of our construct, we are designed to have children. By way of, legacies, people also see children as continuing, culturally speaking, continuing the family name, by way of expressing our love and bond with those that have become our partners in life. So there are so many reasons why people want to start a family. The family is the minutest, part of the society, growing society, passing on the baton. The children are the future. And so all of these conversations, all of these reasons why people keep saying have children, you hear people saying things like, who will continue your name now? So you need to have a child, your bloodline needs to continue. So all of these conversations are happening. But you see, these conversations have become shaped by information, by knowledge, by level of awareness, and also is being shaped by ignorance as well, because in the course of the conversation, I'm sure we are going to reference the fact that ignorance is also playing a very, serious role in tandem or side by side with the economic bust and all of that. So I think that for the reason of, the bloodline moving on, the family name going on, for starting a family, for your own personal reasons, family reasons, social reasons, cultural reasons, people want to have children, even religious reasons, people want to have children. So when people say this, I want to have children, even religious reasons, people want to have children. So when people say this, sometimes people say it, not because sometimes
The
we
resources.
are not disputing. It's a common, it's a common phrase. People say it a lot. Just, this man, you're of age, why don't you have a child? Everybody's like, just have a child. But none of these people actually will be there with you to raise the children. So they truly do not understand. So it is, as I said before, for the bloodline, for cultural reasons, religious reasons, and, so that's why people keep asking this question. They think that these are the societal expectations. They think that this is it, and really that is what it is. Why do you want to have a child? This is my child. I want to begin a family. I want to, but beyond that.
So let's talk about the beyond that now. If we look at our current reality as a people, as a nation, do you think that the cultural influence or bias and all of that should still be the real reason why people venture into having children?
Mercy, you said venture. Venture into having children. Yeah. Okay. Now, with our current reality, Mercy, even beyond the current reality, right from the beginning, having children, as I said before, should not just be because you have eggs and you have the body fluids and then you just have children. Having children, there are certain expectations. We should be intentional when we want to have children. We shouldn't just have children for bragging rights. Children are human beings. There are certain prerequisites, there are certain expectations It's not just about having children. What becomes of these children? Some people have had children and the story have not ended well. Some people have had children, and at the end of the day, what do they have to show for? They've just added one more individual to the escalation in value, market value, pricing, and all of that. This is the beyond that we're speaking about. The standard of living, the quality of life. It's not just about having children who are just surviving. You have to provide. You have to bring these children up in a way that meets all-round holistic development for the child. Now, let's take a look, for example, schools. You see, I was watching the program and you were making reference to the fact that children were writing exams under very harsh conditions. They were using candle lights, torch lights, rechargeable lamps, or whatever. Some of them were in total darkness. I want to ask you a question. I don't think that this will happen in every school. I'm sure that there are private schools that will give the best, would try their best to ensure that the children write under favorable or suitable conditions. But the truth is that these schools are heavily paid for. Right? How many Nigerians can afford private schools? Because you should give your children qualitative education. I also heard you referencing stuff like it didn't happen in your time. Some of us went to possibly federal government colleges where at least we had the standard of education. The last time I went to my alma mater, Nigeria just happened. So hold on a second, please. Could we get a break and let the better come on, please?
No, so I will just go ahead and talk and then we'll get you.
Okay, fantastic.
I'm really sorry. I'm very sorry, but I'm also very saddened. I really don't know when we're just going to end all of this, really. It breaks my heart. I'm not also expecting, I can't even be emotional here because there's no need for all of that, but really, what's the problem with us as a country? Why is it that we cannot afford the basic things of life? Why? Kilo day. Today I'm speaking Yoruba. Kilo shele go. I'm not sure I got that correctly, but what is the problem? Why? Why? Because I don't think the Nigerians are asking for too much. I don't think so. Now, if you leave Nigeria, because Nigerians outside of Nigeria, a lot of Nigerians out of Nigeria, because I won't say all Nigerians, but most Nigerians outside of Nigerians, some people say that Nigeria is a lawless country. That's not the truth. Because you find out that Nigerians outside of Nigerians are more law-abiding. So what's the difference? What is the problem? We have the resources. If you want to talk about energy, now we're at a time where renewable energy, you have the materials, what it takes to have energy without having to, you just use natural resource. The sun is there. We're in the Sahara. Why? What's the challenge? Why did we have to subject children? In the month of Children's Day celebration, you see these kids writing exam in the dark, as if we're in a stone age. And then the Minister for Women Affairs went on national television to say that it's such an exciting time to be a Nigerian child. Are you serious? We can't even have one thing working. And please, let's not let nobody come and say, oh, what we were saying, bashing night. No, we're not. We're just saying what's happening. Because in the midst of this conversation, power has gone off. In developed climes, power will not go off. As we're here now, we're running on backup power. It's not fair. It is not. I don't think the Nigerians are asking for too much. They're not. Diana Mary, it's good to have you join us back again.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
We can't blame you for that.
It happens to the best of us. But now, so we're talking about children. Now, children have to, the private schools, how many Nigerians, per capita income, how much of their per capita income can actually afford private education? I was making reference to my alma mater. In my alma mater, we used to have a tennis court. Then we called it lawn tennis. It's now tennis, a tennis court, a basketball court. I went there a couple of days back, and what did I see there? I saw that they had planted gardens where we had our sporting facilities. So the school was now covered with farms. But you know that in raising children properly, in looking at all of this, children need those sporting facilities for their development. They need to play the sports, they need to develop, they need to learn this, So we see that even institutions are deteriorating. So people have to go to private schools. But how many Nigerians have the per capita income to actually afford private schools? So in saying that people should have children, are you just going to have children and release them to harsh conditions? Are you going to have children and release them to poverty? Are you going to have children and not give them proper nourishment? Are you going to have children and not be available to them because you are outside trying to do more than one job because your salary, your take-home pay cannot provide for the child or the children that you have? We need to take this into consideration, that it is not just enough to give birth, that even in giving birth, you are not guaranteed proper health care for, to give birth to these children. And much after you've left the hospital, the work begins. You are no longer available because you have to work from morning all through to the evening, late as you come back and you're fatigued. So most of the parents, a good majority of the parents you see are stressed. They are unhappy. Their mental health is not stable. They are barking. They are not giving a conducive environment to their children. One of the top 10 needs of any child is quality. The top 10 needs of any child is quality, good quality life. It mustn't be exaggerated. What happens when you can afford it, you meet people, your life begins to take shape. But how many Nigerians can actually afford this? These are pertinent questions we should ask before we bring children. Children are not able to feed. I mean, right now, I went to a boarding house, but I don't think I can send my children to it, but except it's a very good, even with the private school, the parents are not even available to raise their children. So what is the guarantee that I'm sending my child to a community in a school that the children around there would be suitable influence to them? So there's a lot, we need to weigh the pros and cons, that in as much as we set out to want to have children, we should take into consideration every other thing that follows. You should give the child a good life. You should give the child, but how many Nigerians can actually afford to give children? Children are having mental health issues.
Dr.
Children are having
Dinah, we
diabetes.
would have to take a quick break now, and when we return, the conversation will continue right here. So when we come back, we'll just be looking at what point should we consider having children. I remember you saying vividly that it really doesn't have to do with the current reality that we're faced with, the fact that 60% multi-dimensional poverty and what's going on in our economy. So let's take that break down, and when we return, the conversation continues right here. Please stay with us.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we'll connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Hashtag, what are you saying? Thank you so much for staying tuned. And if you just tuned in, we're discussing and asking the question, do children deserve more than just survival? Like, just has to bring kids to the world and let them just, ego better. God will provide. All of this kind of conversation. Is that what it is, or do we need to be intentional about children? But we'd like to hear your thoughts on this one. And so remember that you can join the conversation by sending an SMS or WhatsApp to the number 081 80 384663. SMS, WhatsApp to that number. I take that again, 081 803846 and 63. The phone lines are also open as well, so do well to call and be part of the conversation. 07025 0077 and 49, 07025 0077 and 49, or 0701 42 and 42 and 20. So I feel like I struggle with the second number. But let's hear your thoughts on this particular issue. Dr. Dinah Marie San is still here with us. Dinah Marie, once again, thank you so much for making our time to be here.
Thank you.
So at what point should we consider having children? Like, at what point should anyone, whether we're not experiencing economic meltdown or whatever it is, at what point should anybody say, hey, I want to have a child? What are the factors? Are there things that we should consider?
Yes, I think that you should take into consideration. To say that there is a point in which I think that it's something that you should prep yourself for, because for the kind of financial stability, if you're supposed to give that child the standard of life that child deserves, it should be from as you progress in life, right from you don't even need to wait to see the person you're going to have children with. You're already putting things in place by virtue of your pursuits, your endeavors, your investments, your plan, the job you want to have. And when you're of age, even when you're of age and you think that you're not eligible to have a child because all you're going to do is bring that child into the world to suffer, please hold. Point where you are ready and eligible to have a child financially, mentally, socially, spiritually, sound. When you know that you are in good shape, that is when you are eligible to have a child. But will I put an age to it? No, I'm not going to put an age to it. When you think that you're stable in these ramifications, then you can. And the choice is yours.
But Dr. Dinah Marie, let's be realistic. Do you think anybody gets to a point where they are spiritually, financially, mentally
No, there's never a perfect time. Now, the reason why, I'll tell you why these parameters are in place. Now, when we say financial, there are people who have the money, right? And they can afford the hospital bills. They can afford to give these children the standard of life that the children deserve, good standard of life. But you know what? Everything material is available. But you see, one of the greatest prerequisites for childbearing or raising children is involvement in the lives of those children. So that's why you see that you may be very rich, but your children end up to become the total opposite. They end up to become something else. They end up becoming something else. You need to be available to raise the children. You see, these are the issues. So when you talk of financial stability, are you in that place to grapple mentally, to grapple with the emotions, the devotion, the dedication to raise this child? For example, some people are busy chasing the bag. You should create time between you, you should be able to create that safe haven for the child to thrive and to grow. So when you talk of survival, it's not just about surviving. It is not just about existing, but if you're to raise a child and give the child a good life, it is holistic mercy. It is not just about providing money that you can pay the school fees. You've seen people in very good schools, private schools, who have the school fees to pay, but they're into drugs. They're into all other vices. They're a menace to society, even to their own parents. Correct me if I'm wrong. So when I'm talking of all of these ramifications, I'm trying to say that it may not be perfect, but to a reasonable dimension, you should be available to see that you don't just have these children well, give them the good standard of living, but you raise them. Because now, I've heard you complain several times on the show. Are there not certain times you ask questions? I ask questions. I say, like, the people who have the opportunity to be in position or in power, I often ask, who raised these people? Now, let's look at the world today. We're in the social media age. I didn't hear you reference what's going on Children's Day. One of our influencers, in quotes, one of the young people who has influence, joked about statutory rape.
Can you even say that's a joke? How do you
say? And he said, statutory, this is, and he came up again on television to say that for your music or your song to sell, it is, you have to build controversy. This is how people are working in the society, that you could come on social media, you have the following, you have controversy. This is how people are working in the society, that this girl being taught. So when I talk of all of this, once you're ready to have children, it's beyond the money. You should be available to raise your children so that you can be proud, society can be proud, that if your son or your daughter becomes the president of the country, becomes a minister of education, is in charge of DAM or WAEC, the rest of our children will not write under very harsh conditions. If your child is grown and he is privy to public funds, what will he do? Will he act as a responsible citizen? Will he act as a responsible adult? Do we think that dysfunctional people just emerge? Some of them, check their background, they were never raised, they were never taught. Upbringing matters, and this is the package when you talk of raising children. People who can function at various levels when they become adults because they were properly raised. It's time for us to begin to ask ourselves, who raised these children? Who raised these people? Are we ready to raise children beyond providing for them? So you see, it is not just the dimension of paying school fees. You must be involved. You must be holistically involved from the different life cycles of this individual till they become children. From the formative years of 0 to 9 years to the logic and analysis stage of 10 to 18 years, we must be involved. How many of us can truly beat our hands on our chest and say that I release my child into society and I can say that this child will perform because I have given this person a qualitative education, because I have been involved in this person's life and I have raised this person to understand their spiritual self, to understand themselves socially, culturally, and mentally. These are dimensions we have. So many people are walking around sick. So many people were not raised. So this is so when I talk of all of this, we may not attain perfection because human endeavors are not truly perfect and are flawed here and there. But at the end of the day, if we are ready to have children, hunger is not the only problem we are facing in Nigeria. We are in a social media age. We see a lot of things happening. A child that is well brought up will not come on social media and do some of the things that we see on social media. And I'm not standing here as a moral police. There's a level of decorum. There's a level of appropriateness that comes. You see, we must have these conversations and we must talk about them.
And I'm glad that we're having this conversation because, I mean, it's really, really saddening to see the things that we see every other time. And then again, it just looks like we have really relegated, our responsibility, or probably we just think that because we have body parts, different body parts that can function and, bring a child and then boom, we can just have children, just chunk them out. I would rather say that we chunk them out.
Sorry to cut you, Mercy. I want to add, there's no disconnect. The government has to improve the standard of living. Society has to become okay for parents to be parents. Let people go to work and earn a living. Let the money not be
Dr. Mary, I think that you took that just away from me because I was going to come to, that part of it. Again,
no, there's no disconnect. There's no disconnect. I told you that I attended a federal government college, but today I don't think I can say the school I attended years back is the same school that is in existence today. So I could go to there was a time people went to public schools. People went to, because government put these things in place for us to attend. You know what I mean? So the government, not everybody can, let civil servants be able to send their children to government schools and know that their children are getting qualitative education. Let us have qualified teachers that are teaching. You see, even the best graduates cannot go and teach. So we have people who are not eligible to even teaching our children in public schools, and it is a concern. So you're working for the government, you're working for the nation, you're working for the state, but your salary cannot, so at the end of the day, you have people who will now go to work, go to their businesses, even in their offices, they are selling things, trying to make ends meet so that their children won't go to government schools, but private schools, which they cannot afford. You understand what I mean? So government is not spared from all of this, because if you can give us healthcare, if you can give us education, women want to give birth, those who are ready now want to give birth, possibly cannot afford certain, I know that government tries here and there, but look, Nigeria is vast. Nigeria is okay. Today is 29th. Yesterday was 28th. The menstrual hygiene day, and we are still having the conversation on the fact that sanitary products should be accessible to girls. They are daughters and they are girls in the rural communities who cannot afford sanitary products. You know what I mean? They cannot afford it. So when a girl in rural communities, those people, the children of the people who go to vote for our leaders, are in their period, they don't go to schools because they cannot afford these things how much is a packet of pad now? Not less than 1,000, 1,500 every month. How many parents, how many families can afford this for their daughters? So you see, the dignity of their girliness or their womanliness is even robbed of them. So let us begin to make the right conversations. Let these people sit down and remove the tax from sanitary pads so that we can have a dignity as human beings. It's a lot. It's not just in feeding. For the girl child, it's in her holistic development. So at least in 1 week or 5 days in the month, the girl will have to grapple with her period, that she cannot even afford the sanitary products because the price, her parents cannot afford it. They have 1,500, they're thinking of buying food to eat so that they can at least survive. So girls, sit down at home. You know, when your period is finished, before the month ends and starts again, another period has come. These are conversations we should have. So when people are ready to have children, particularly if you have
People are surviving every day and how people are making it through. But we would like you, if you're listening, if you just tuned in, your experience, let's WhatsApp to the number 081 803846 and 63. That's the number to send your messages to, 081 803846 and 63. Now, the phone lines are also open. It means that you can call the number 070-250077 and 49, 070-250077 and 49, or 070-1424 and 24 and 20. That's the number to call. Let's hear what you have to say. Hoping the network will allow us to have an amazing time. But, you know, I really understand that governance is a collective responsibility, and that's why the government cannot be left out of the equation. No matter the way, whatever angle, however you want to drive the conversation, the government has a responsibility to play. But,
Definitely.
you know, at a point where it looks like the government is not doing its bid, my grandmother used to tell me that poor man picking, I they get sense. You know, but now it's as though, because I say that every time, and I say if I see my grandmother again, unfortunately she's gone away. She has all continued to rest in peace. She's not here, and I say, Grandma, poor man picking no get sense again because where's the common sense? So you find out that those who do not even have the means and the source of livelihood are the ones who are engaging in chunking out children. I'm sorry that I have to use the word chunking out. So, again, we have also, from reports and finding, it's relatable that religion and culture has driven this behavior. So at what point do we draw the line and take responsibility between faith and taking responsibility for ourselves? And then the government is failing.
Between faith and... but let's not lose hope in the government. Just has to do what it has to do because
it looks like every guest. I mean, yesterday James Ibo said you can't leave the government out of this. The government is responsible.
No, yes, we can't. It's just like the human body. You can't say that the eye is
Dynamiri. I understand that is the human body, but I'm also saying. My grandmother said, poor man picking the get sense. You go can't check him. Maybe we need to speak in pidgin. He's not working.
You see, okay, to the degree that
you have to tell yourself the truth, that you have to be factual, that you have to be realistic, that you have to say, hey, yes, my body is doing me as it's doing me, but then again, I have to be realistic. So at what point do we now draw the bridge, or whatever it is you call it, close the gap between religion, faith, culture, and whatever factor that we have that just push people to say, just get Pekin? They will be on the streets.
Yes. I think that we should begin to educate ourselves, in terms of our local communities, I don't think that people function as themselves, as individuals, just in isolation. You come from a family, you come from, the greatest blessing is that if you come from a family, at least you spoke about sense. There should be somebody who is reasonable. There's somebody that has sense. You know, sometimes when people have this many children, they begin to think that other people or other members of their families or other members of society owe them a responsibility to always help them pay school fees. I read a tweet or a post, right, where a reverend father said that somebody came to him and asked for money that he couldn't afford the medical bill of his wife who was about to give birth. This was like last year. And this year, he said he just saw the man's wife pregnant again, that he's waiting for the man to come and ask him for money for the wife's delivery. You know what I mean? And yes, it happens. If you see, like, if you come to my village, I find out that the people who give birth very often are the people who don't even have a means. And this is, they just give birth to children to just roam, don't have clothes, and they have expectations. So to the degree that we should help ourselves, even if I'm not saying government has to do what it has to do, you know, that we should do a lot of sensitization. The churches need to help. You see, Nigeria is a very religious country. As the spiritual leaders have a lot of influence on the people. And I offered a conversation I had yesterday. I often ask these religious leaders, I don't know how eligible they are to lead people. But if there was any sense of eligibility, they would inform, they would educate these people appropriately, because we even have issues where people carry people to churches to give birth to children.
All right, Diana Mary, I'm being told that we have 3 minutes left. We do have a comment here. So I'll just take this one quickly. He says, good evening, my dear, beautiful sister Messi. Of what are you saying? #ways. Economic boss, do children deserve more than survival? The answer is yes. Your beautiful guest made mention of not having the money and resources, but being available to give the children attention. She also said that parents do not have the resources, but the children are directly opposite. Or parents do have the resources, but the children are directly opposite. I do agree. If we do not have the resources to take care of them, then let us not bring them into this world to suffer. My name is Daniel Eloho of Ways. I mean, he's a regular fan. Daniel, thank you so much for being part of the conversation. But Diana Mary, again, let's get back to this quickly because we don't have time. Family planning, do you think that this should be a very prevailing conversation? Do you think that there should be some sort of legislation as to the number of children that we should have, regardless of our religious and cultural belief and bias?
Yes, you see, when we evaluate what's happening in society now, there was a time in China where there was a, you know, they said that I think it was a child or so, let us try to manage the situation. People should be educated on family planning so that, you know, they can make informed choices. You know, some of the people who have had children say it just happened. I was not expecting it. It just happened. It happens to, you know, people should be conscious. We should begin to sensitize people. For the sake of time, let me just, you know, add everything. Yes, we should have, you know, we should push for family planning as much as we should, so that people should not have more than the number of children that they can care for. These are conversations that should be opened and should be had. You know, and at the end of the day, we don't even have good social welfare as well. So these children, there's no, you know, I've worked volunteer for street children before. Mercy, I would tell you that some of the street children that we have, they have parents who are alive, fathers are alive, but their parents send them out on the streets. We also have a section in Nigeria where we have people who would say stuff like, they send out their children to go and beg. They send that they have children so that their children can beg, their children can do manual labor. That is the ignorance we are talking about. We have to rise up. Those people, the churches have to rise up and give the proper education. The government has to give the proper education. The system, the institutions, they have to give the proper education. So you see, people have to rise up. Don't just have children. Parenting, having children is consciousness. It's being intentional. It's being deliberate, because you want to produce people who can thrive, who are valuable to your family, who are valuable to themselves and valuable to society. Should they assume office? Should they get into civil service? We are where we are because some of the people who are in positions are from poverty. And all they want to do is just steal your own, steal my own, steal our own, and society is not improving. It's poverty that's making people pilfer, take money that is meant for the collective good of people And when you assume office, you think that you become a demigod. This is orientation and upbringing. Sometimes, if you differ, please tell me. Poverty is holistic, even to their mental state. So when they get to wealth and power, they eat and eat and eat and forget the responsibility. They don't even understand what they're supposed to do. You know, they can't even make basic definitions, harmonize. And, you know, we have these things that are going on. And so everybody has to stand up. In churches, those people who are exposed, even in your traditional setting.
We quickly take this call now. Dr. Dynamic, let's take this call briefly. Hello. Thank you for joining us.
My dear sister.
Yes, go ahead.
This is Lama.
Lama, go ahead. Quickly. We don't have time, but just go ahead quickly.
Look at what is happening in social media. What these people are seeing in the social media.
Lama, we have to let you go now. I'm sorry, unfortunately, we can't take your call. There seemed to be some distortion right there from you. I'm so sorry. I mean, we blame it on the network, right? Dynamary, just one word before we leave.
Okay, to everybody listening, nobody's going to tell you right now. I do not have the power to say to you how many children you're going to have and all of that. But having children should not just be a function of that you're an adult or that you can meet with the opposite gender or that you can come together and have these children. You should be ready to take into consideration the standard of life that you want to give these children. If you want to have children that you are proud of, if you want to have children that will perform, you give them a good standard of living, and you are involved in their upbringing and teach them the right things. It is a holistic approach. If you're not ready for that, please, there's no need bringing children who will suffer. Children who you would begin to look out onto other people to help you take care of them. And to the government, we are begging. Education is important. Food, not just education, quality education, healthcare, a good quality of life. Look into the provisions for the civil servants and those who work for government so that they will be able to afford a good life for themselves and their children. Thank you very much, Mercy.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Dynamary T. Nsan, for being part of the conversation. Dynamary T. Nsan, doctor, is a holistic educator and media practitioner. I do appreciate you. We've had an amazing conversation, and we look forward to this in the nearest future. And to you who's tuned in as well, thank you so much for being part of the show. Now, all you can do, the conversation doesn't end here, is that you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV and interact with us further. Now, you can drop a comment, and most importantly, follow us on all of the social media platforms and engage. Remember to like, share, comment, and invite your friends and family to watch the show. You know, it's over, but you can also catch up with the show. Now, if you missed out on our quote for today, this is what he says. Help us show children around the world that we can make a difference together. Please, let's not just be responsible. I will see you tomorrow, all things being equal, at 8 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your evening. My name is Mercy Ebokpo. Have a good evening.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.